As you know, this program is an extension of the Bronx Journal newspaper, which is published by the students and the faculty here at Lehman College. Today, we've invited a group of reporters to discuss the issues they're covering for the next edition of the paper. Luis Forero, Tomas Garcia, and Cindy Medina are all reporters for the Bronx Journal. Welcome to the program. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you for having me.
Tomas, you're working on two different stories. You're our sports writer.
Yes, sir.
And tell me first about the story that you've been working on for a while. There's sort of like a glass ceiling for Latino sports executives.
Well, exactly. I interviewed 4 gentlemen that are working for Latino sports in general. Like the first person I interviewed was Julio Pabon. He's the CEO of Latino Sports, and he's been having the store since 1989, one of the most successful.
He's been on this program.
Yes, he's one of the most successful sports store owners there is. And the second person I interviewed was Lou Melendez, who works for Major League Baseball. He's the vice president of international baseball operations. He's been with the Major League Baseball for 20 years and more, so he's one of the most fascinating people I interviewed. The third person I interviewed was Ray Negron. He is the senior advisor for Mr. George Steinbrenner. He's been in baseball for over 30 years. He started out as a bat boy for the New York Yankees during the championship run of
I'm
the
impressed
70s.
already. Who's the fourth person?
The fourth person I interviewed, he is a great gentleman. I actually met him at his place. His name is George Medina. He runs CTG Verdero Sports Athletics. He's in charge of producing sports gears for professional baseball players like Josh Hamilton, Albert Pujols, Carlos Beltran, Andrew Jones, and etc. So these 4 men gave me a lot of interesting quotes about Latino sports executives in general and how they feel that everything's moving up.
So they do feel that they're breaking through that glass ceiling, they're cracking that glass ceiling, they're actually getting the major positions in baseball and sports management. Latinos are?
There's a lot of steps towards a positive direction towards that, but they feel at the same time there's a lot of work needs to be done, but they're moving towards in the right direction.
Okay, let's talk to Luis and then we'll come back to you about your other story. Luis, you're writing about people in the Bronx who are getting cheaper home heating oil from Venezuela.
Venezuela, that's right. Right now I'm looking for different opinions of Bronx residents in the borough who are being benefited from this cheap heating oil that President Hugo Chavez started offering for poor residents in the Bronx back in 2005. He's selling this cheap heating oil at 40% discount from other companies in the Bronx. And that's saving residents in the Bronx almost $100 a month during the winter months. And that's a pretty good saving, taking into consideration that this heating oil is being distributed in the poorest congressional districts in New York City. And they are all located in the Bronx.
Now, there's another side to that coin. People are,
absolutely. There's another,
very much apprehensive about accepting gifts or donations from Hugo Chavez
from Hugo Chavez and his, yes. A lot of people feel, and mainly public officials, that his dictatorship, as they call it, is not really doing a humanitarian work by offering this cheap oil to residents in the Bronx, but instead he's mocking the U.S. as a whole. And he says that, I mean, people think that his actions should be reprehended or at least stopped. However, there's another flip side to that, and is, well, if nobody's doing anything for those residents, should we or not accept his?
Yeah. What some people are saying is, look, the U.S. government is not helping these people. Here's the Venezuelan government helping them out. And the other side of the coin, of course, people who say the Venezuelan government is basically almost our enemy. Hugo Chavez declares war practically on the United States every week, and so why is he doing this? Is he to ridicule the United States, basically saying, look, I'm doing for your poor what your own government won't do for your poor?
Exactly. Yeah. I plan to interview that, and I also like to get an interview with Congressman Jose Serrano, who actually broke the deal with Hugo Chavez back in 2005.
And he's right here from the Bronx, so hopefully you'll be talking to him. Maybe we can bring him on the show and talk
Absolutely,
about that.
Why not?
Okay, Cindy, you have a very interesting story idea about parents who cannot decide, or some of them have very strong opinions, actually, one way or the other, about what language their children should learn in an early age. Some parents think that they should learn a foreign language. A lot of Latinos, for example, say, no, my kid is not going to learn English until he gets to kindergarten. At home, first he's going to learn Spanish, and by the time he gets to school, then he'll have time to learn English, right?
Correct. Well, my article, to me, is of very much importance because I was one of those parents that thought, you know, well, my child has to learn Spanish. you know, later on she will learn English because I want her to be bilingual.
How old is your child?
My child is only 4.5,
Okay.
so she's in pre-K.
Okay.
And this came up to my interest because I was taking her to school and I heard two parents debating. So, you know, it's been a long time debate of the language issue. So I asked them, you know, why? And they said, well, as you said early on, before we were talking, what if my child gets to 2nd grade and, you know, she only speaks Spanish and she was born in the United States? It makes no sense, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
But then another one said, well, I have to speak Spanish to my child because later on she'll be confused with the language.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's of very much interest, especially to us Latinos, you know, that we prefer to stick to Spanish.
So you're
And
going
we
to
have
be talking
that
to
belief.
parents and teachers who have strong opinions on both sides of this debate, right?
Correct. Well, I started some interviews with my child's teacher, and I'm planning on interviewing the principal. She's American, but she has a lot of strong belief in this language issue, so that's what I'm planning to do for my
Yeah,
article.
well, you know, I'm a parent and I had the same concerns, and I know a lot of immigrant parents in this country, whether it's Spanish or another language, have that concern and basically say, no, my child, he'll get to English when he gets to school. And I want to make sure that he, and you have an opinion.
I have that strong opinion. I mean, I think that your first language, right, it's learned at home. English will consequently come as the child progresses into schooling. And if the child is raised, right, with his first language being Spanish, being Chinese, being whatever language is spoken at home, he will, I believe, will grow up to have strong skills in that language. I mean, I can tell you from my own personal experience, I have a 50-year-old nephew who was raised with English at home. And he has no way to communicate with my mother, his grandmother, because they do not understand each other's languages. And that's just sad to see. And I think that a child can grow up for the first 4 years of his life learning English, Spanish, whatever his first language is, and then learn his second language at school, which he will use for the rest of his life.
Except that a few teachers will object to that because the teacher will say, excuse me, this child was born here 6 years ago, he's just getting to class, and he talks like if he just came from a foreign country yesterday. And so the teacher wants at least the child to be a little bit more bilingual than they are when they get to school, right?
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes it's uncontrollable because I tried my best and my fiance not to talk in English to my daughter. But then with the cartoons, you know, we like her to watch Noggin, which is like an educational channel. She comes up with all these words and the shapes and the numbers and everything in English.
Spanglish.
And
They
and
start
Spanglish.
mixing the two, right?
And you know, I try to ask her a couple of things to see if she's clear. You know, I don't want her to get the Spanglish thing mixed up.
Right.
But I don't know, thank God, for some reason she could identify English and Spanish. So I know not every child could do that. So I guess that's the concern that parents have and the concern that I had myself. But I'm more clear on the topic now, but I want to go further, you know? I want to see what other people think. So that's what I'll be covering.
One more issue that we should discuss is Yankee Stadium. You're writing our cover story for a sports page on the nostalgia that people are already feeling for old Yankee Stadium. I mean, the stadium just closed, the season just ended, and all of a sudden people are already saying, oh my God, I'm going to miss it. And basically, and I hope some people get in touch with Tomas, because Tomas is looking for people to interview. You know, if you've used the board, the scoreboard to propose to your now wife, because a lot of people have done that, or if you fell in love with somebody at Yankee Stadium, if you're one of those crazy guys up on the bleachers and you're going to really miss the old stadium, Tomas wants to talk to you. But tell us about the story you're writing, Tomas.
Well, it's interesting. What I'm looking for is a feel-good story. As where everybody knows, Yankee Stadium's been open since 1923, and it's just closed recently. And it's a very sad time because, you know, if from old to young, you grew up at the stadium, you grew up, you know, watching Babe Ruth play and Lou Gehrig and Joe DiMaggio. So
the house that Ruth built.
Yes, definitely. And you have the nostalgia feel. You know, you want to find a story that a kid sat in the bleachers while he got a chance to shake Mariano Rivera's hand or get a chance to interact with the players.
Amazing
and
memories people have. You know,
and
there's a trillion memories in New York of Yankee Stadium.
Definitely, and I have memories too about going to the stadium as a kid. I remember going there with my grandfather. He took me to a game, and I was watching them playing against the Minnesota Twins, and it was very fun to go there as a kid. You're going to miss those good times, and I hope that...
Well, there's always the new stadium, but is it going to be the same?